you tired of chasing all the sales and spending hours trying to figure out how can I automate my sale process using my email platform? Well, that's exactly what I want to chat to you about today inside this video. And hey, if we haven't met, I'm Lise Cartwright, online marketing coach, and I love talking about email marketing, human design, and how to automate things in your business, including sales, which is why I'm super excited about today's video. So we are going to talk about how you can set up a very simple email funnel to automate sales every day. Now, there's lots of different ways to set up email funnels and email sequences, whatever you want to call them. So we're going to talk about it more from the type of promotion that we're wanting to actually set up. And the best part about this entire process is that it saves you so much time, because once this is set up, it is set up. You only need to tweak and refine every so often, but otherwise it's just running in the background 24/7. So you could literally be snoozing and making sales. You could be hanging out at the beach making sales. You could be at your beautiful daughter's ballet recital making sales, right? You get the picture. You could be watching a soccer game making sales. At the end of the day, the whole point of automation is to automate it so that you don't have to actively touch all the things. So let's start with what an email funnel or an email automation actually is. So typically, the time that someone is joining your email funnel is at a point where they've joined your email list, right? So they've already gone through your top of funnel. I use air quotes because at the end of the day, it's just how did they get into your world? That's the main thing, but it's also called top of funnel content. So they've come in through your top of funnel content. So that could be a blog post, a YouTube video, it could be a podcast, it could be your lead magnet. However, they've joined your world. They've joined your world. So now we get to decide where they go from here. Now, if you watched my last video, we talked about segmentation. Now, this is where segmentation becomes even more powerful because you can set up multiple email funnels based on different segments. So segmentation and automating go hand in hand. So make sure that if you haven't watched that video that you go ahead and check that out, because segmenting first will make this process go a lot smoother. So before we dive into actually creating the email funnel, let's talk about the simplest email funnel right now that we're going to create. Now, I definitely want you to think about the next launch or the next major promotion that you've got coming up, because you can set up this funnel for that. But the one that we're going to talk about today is one that is going to be truly evergreen. And what I mean by evergreen is that it's set and forget. You don't need to do anything. It just always works in the background. Let's talk about the simplest email funnel that we can set up that also sets us up to receive sales every day. And this is where you may be familiar with a tripwire. Now, this is not going to be a tripwire in the sense that the actual reason something is called a tripwire is that it's immediately presented after someone opts in to get your strategic freebie, right? So the very next page that they see is your tripwire. But we are not doing that here because now they're already in your email list. But what we are going to do is set up a very simple funnel that presents your tripwire offer to them. Now, this is the funnel that I would recommend you set up for brand new subscribers, right? You 100%, this works extremely well for brand new people with a little bit longer conversion window. And the reason for that is in the state of online marketing right now, people just need a little bit more time to get to know, like, and trust you. So rather than banging them over the head with an immediate upsell or tripwire, we are going to do something that's a little bit more aligned with how people actually engage with people online. So step one is literally going to be strategic freebie, right? We know what that is. They've already joined your world. We want to make sure we've got our segmentation set up. Then from there, we are going to go and write our emails, and then we're going to set up the automation. So I'm going to switch to sharing my screen, and I'm literally just going to walk you through that process right now. Okay, so I wanted to quickly record this process for you, and I have already created one. I really just want to walk you through this entire process. Now I'm using Kit, which makes this entire system very, very easy. And so I'm just going to walk you through this process now. So the first step is we have to determine the trigger point. So this is, how do we want someone to be added to this automation? Now I have got this set up based on my strategic freebie, which is a lead magnet, and it's a high converting email template. So that is the point that someone comes into this automation. Now I do a few different things. I just want to talk you through why I do the things that I do. So the next thing is they also get added to a tag called LM, which stands for lead magnet HC email template. Now you might be wondering why I've got a form and then a tag, and it's just because in certain components within Kit, namely within an actual email, if I wanted to personalize some of the content within an email, I can only do that based on a tag. I can't do it based on a form. So that is why I personally choose to tag them as well as having the form called lead magnet. Now, of course, you can do this however you wish, but it just makes things a lot easier if I do it this way. So those are the two things that are going to happen. Now, I also remove them from my new subscriber welcome automation, and that is because I want to control how this process works. And I have a catch-all welcome sequence automation in place, which is triggered by any form. So I handle things differently just depending on what it is that I actually want to happen for this new person coming into my world. And that's how I want you to think about this: is what's the experience going to be for this brand new person who is coming into my world? How can I ensure that they're not being bombarded? Now, this means that you have to have a really good awareness of all the things that you've created inside your email platform. And so I know that I want to ensure that they don't get the welcome automation immediately. Instead, I'm going to handle it inside this automation. So this is all happening in this order. So they get coming through this form, they get tagged, then they get removed. So it all happens almost immediately. Then I've got a 5-minute delay because sometimes it can cause things to get stuck. So I just always find that when I do a 5-minute delay before the next thing happens, then I don't run into any issues. Now I have an admin promoting tag that I apply in my funnels, and this ensures that they don't get my daily newsletter. So I send a daily email. And so what I don't want to happen is whilst someone is in this tripwire funnel, that they're not going to get a whole bunch of other emails. So I choose to add this tag. Now I've got a day delay, and then they're going to go through the welcome sequence. It's important to note that they've already received the lead magnet, right? They've already received that strategic freebie. It's automatically delivered within 15 minutes of them signing up, and that's already done. It's handled outside of this process. This is another reason why I'm a huge fan of Kit. So that's already done. So I don't have to worry about that. So that is why there is a day delay. I don't want them to start getting the welcome sequence on the first day that they've joined. I want them to get the strategic freebie. Now they can go through my welcome email. So now they've got my welcome email sequence, and that happens to be 4 emails long that go out every single day of that 4 days. So they go through that. Then I want them to be tagged with the H&G newsletter subscriber, because then that means that they're now going to get the daily email. However, they've still got that admin promoting tag, so they're not going to receive the daily email until that tag gets removed. So they've gone through this process. They've immediately got their strategic freebie. Now they've waited a day, and now they've just received 4 emails from me in a row. So we're at about day 6, day 7 of them being in my world. Now what I'm going to do is have a 5-day delay, which means that they are actually not going to receive any emails from me within this time frame. So I just want there to be a little bit of a lull before they get the rest of the sequence. Now, I also have a couple of other things happening here, because I also don't want people to get the same information twice. So I've got a condition here that basically says if they already have this tag, then remove this tag and then delay by 5 minutes and then exit this automation. Otherwise, if they don't have that tag, then put them through the Cultivate Membership Nurture sequence, which is a 31-day funnel sequence, whatever you want to call it, that presents the opportunity for them to join the Cultivate membership throughout that time. Then same deal, if they go through this entire process and they don't join Cultivate, then I also want to make sure that the admin promoting tag is removed so that they start getting my daily emails. And then if they do happen to click on one of the triggers inside the email, which is a 72-hour invite, then they get moved down to here. So they get pulled straight out of that email sequence, moved down to here, and then the same deal, I want to make sure that the admin promoting tag is removed. Now, when they do get pulled down to here, they actually start another 3-day sequence. It's an actual another automation, and then that just all happens. So this is the very simplest email sequence that you can set up. Now, of course, you have to take into consideration all the components going on in your particular setup, but this is how it's working for mine. So the segmentation is based on this tag here. And if I wanted to, I could add multiple people or multiple forms into this, multiple tags, but for now I'm going to keep this very, very simple. So that's it. That's how you go and set up your automation, the different components that you'll want to be thinking about. I'll see you in the rest of the video. So now that you've seen this walkthrough, your immediate action step is to go and replicate this for yourself. The two major components that you need in a really high converting email funnel is the content, right? So you need to make sure that your sequences make sense. Now, I'm a huge fan of having a 30-day email sequence. Now, that doesn't mean that there are 30 emails going out every day, although it could, right? It's entirely up to you. If you are someone who does send daily emails like I do, then it actually does make sense to do that. Now, if you're going to do that scenario, it's all about repurposing content. So what I mean by that is I didn't have to sit down and write 30 emails to set up that automated email sequence. All I had to do was go back and look at the previous 12 months of emails that I've sent and handpick the ones that align with the topic or the promotion that I'm wanting to put in place. So you're going to need your own email sequence. You're going to need to make sure that you've got your sales page in place. So sales page, checkout page, whatever that looks like, that needs to be there so that you can literally link them together. And then your automation is literally going to move people around based on different actions that they take. So for example, in the example that I walked you through, once someone gets through that email sequence and they buy, then depending on when that process takes place, they immediately get pulled out of that sequence. So once someone buys inside my kit setup, it allows me to just pull them down to that event and then they get removed from that sequence. They don't need to hear any more about this because they've already got that offer. Now, if people go through that entire sequence and they don't buy, I have two options. I can either just simply pop them into my daily email community, which is what I generally do. Now, it depends. In another example that I would do, I would send them into another automated sequence that would be a little bit longer depending on what that looked like. So how do you make that decision? Well, basically the 30-day email sequence is for my 1K Lab membership. The 60-day email sequence is for my Cultivate membership. And then from there, based on the actions that someone's taken in either of those scenarios, there will be opportunities for them to be represented the offer. Now, it just depends on what your promotion strategy looks like, all of those things, but that's what it looks like at its simplest. And I'm all about keeping things as simple as possible. So if you want a sneak peek at my email sequence for the one that I showed you in this example, I'm happy to share that with you. All you have to do is go to hustleandgroove.com/sequence sequence, and I will get that to your hot little hands. Okay, now that you understand what it looks like to set up an email automation or an email funnel, the next step is making sure that all of this stuff is actually working. In other words, we're going to deep dive into your email analytics. That's what we're going to do in the next video. I'll see you there.